The past is riddled with enigmas, and some discoveries seem to mock everything we think we know about history. Now just picture a diver brushing centuries of silt from a shipwreck and revealing bronze gears that shouldn't exist. Imagine a vast desert plain etched with designs only visible from the sky, or a simple stone hammer sealed inside ancient rock. Each of these mysteries forces us to ask, did we underestimate the genius of our ancestors, or is something far stranger at work? In this video we'll explore 10 mysteries that defy history, puzzling finds and phenomena that will stretch the timeline, challenge the narrative, and whisper of forgotten knowledge. From the depths of the Aegean Sea to the peaks of the Andes, temple crypts to desert skies, we'll weigh official explanations against forbidden theories and ask the questions history prefers to leave buried. My name is Nex, and welcome to the Nex Archives. The truth is out there, maybe, so let's dive in. Our first stop is the Antikythera Mechanism, often called the world's first analog computer. In 1901, sponge divers off the Greek island of Antikythera salvaged a corroded bronze lump from an ancient shipwreck, only to discover it housed a baffling clockwork device. Dated to around 100 BC, this 2,100-year-old mechanism contains dozens of interlocking gears, precision crafted like a Swiss watch. It could predict eclipses, track planetary orbits, and even calculate the timing of the ancient Olympics, feats of engineering no one imagined the ancient Greeks capable of. One stunned researcher said, "We wouldn't expect to see this level of engineering until the Middle Ages." Its discovery was a complete shock. So how could such advanced knowledge exist in 1st century BC Greece? Was it a brilliant but isolated leap in technology, or something out of time? Mainstream scholars now view it as proof that Hellenistic scientists were far more advanced than previously believed, perhaps even involving minds like Archimedes or Hipparchus. The device reveals mastery of complex gear systems, including epicyclic gear-on-gear designs that wouldn't reappear until medieval clocks. But fringe theorists suggest something stranger. Some whisper of lost civilizations, others of alien tinkerers lending a hand. If this knowledge wasn't supposed to exist, perhaps it was given. So what was the Antikythera Mechanism? A lone spark of ancient brilliance, a relic of Atlantis, or an otherworldly gift left behind in bronze? And what do you think? Let us know in the comments. Your theory might just rewrite history. Leaving behind the sunken secrets of Greece, we journey to the sun-baked deserts of Mesopotamia. In 1936, archaeologists near Baghdad unearthed a humble clay jar containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod at its core. Dubbed the Baghdad Battery, it's believed to date back around 2,000 years, during the Parthian or Sasanian period. At a glance it resembles an ancient electrical cell. If that's true, it means someone in antiquity knew how to generate electricity in a jar. The idea electrified imaginations. Could ancient Persians have used it to electroplate gold onto silver jewellery? Or perform electrotherapy centuries before Benjamin Franklin's kite flew through a storm? A battery in 200 BC sounds absurd. Yet here it is. Mainstream theories tread carefully. It's been suggested that an acidic liquid, like vinegar or grape juice, could have activated the cell to produce a small voltage, possibly for electroplating, but skeptics point out the lack of wires or plated artifacts to confirm this. Others propose it was something entirely mundane, a storage vessel or scroll holder, where acidic corrosion on the rod created a misleading illusion. Fringe theorists, of course, light things up. Some imagine spiritual rituals using electric shocks to inspire awe. Others suggest ancient alien intervention. After all, why wouldn't extraterrestrials hand out batteries to jumpstart human tech? Then again, why travel light years just to leave a few volts in a pot? So what was the Baghdad Battery? A galvanic gadget from a lost science? Or just a misunderstood jar? Thousands of miles west, high on the Bolivian plateau, lie the windswept ruins of Puma Punku, part of the ancient Tiwanaku complex, dated to around the 6th century AD. Scattered across the plain are enormous stone blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, carved with laser-like precision and interlocking like pieces of a 3D puzzle. Perfectly drilled holes and sharp geometric grooves cut through the andesite, too crisp for primitive tools. Yet these stones were shaped over 1,500 years ago by a culture with no writing system and, as far as we know, only copper or stone tools. How did they quarry, carve, and move such massive megaliths? To this day no one knows. The name Puma Punku means door of the puma, and standing among the H-shaped blocks and toppled gateways, it really does feel like a doorway to the impossible. Mainstream archaeologists credit a mix of ingenuity and sheer manpower. Ramps, llama skin ropes, abrasives, perhaps even pendulum drills with quartz sand. It's possible, but even experts admit Puma Punku's engineering remains poorly understood. Alternative theories flood the gaps. Some propose a forgotten civilization older than the Incas. Others summon the infamous Puma Punku aliens, inspired by local legends of sky gods descending to Earth. Ideas range from anti-gravity tech to sound levitation and stone softening formulas. Tools lost to time or not of this world. Who truly built Puma Punku? An ingenious pre-Incan society, a forgotten superculture, or something that arrived from above? Not far from Puma Punku, though across the border in Peru, rises another megalithic enigma, the mighty Sacsayhuaman. Perched above Cusco, this 15th century Inca fortress features massive stone walls that zigzag across the hilltop. Some of its limestone blocks weigh between 100 and 300 tons and stand over 4 meters tall, yet they are fit together with astonishing precision, so tightly that not even a sheet of paper can slide between them. No mortar, just perfect alignment. The sheer scale and craftsmanship of Sacsayhuaman have baffled visitors for centuries. Early Spanish chroniclers were awestruck. Local legends told of giants building it, or stones that moved themselves at the god's command. And standing before these walls, it's easy to see why such stories endure. How did the Incas, without iron tools or the wheel, move and carve stones of such size? Mainstream archaeologists credit highly organized labor and clever engineering. Inca stonemasons likely used harder stones and bronze chisels, pecking the blocks until each curve and crevice matched its neighbor. They may have used earthen ramps and rolling logs to move the stones from distant quarries. Experiments have shown that moving a 10-ton stone is possible with enough manpower, but scaling that up to hundreds of tons remains deeply challenging. Alternative theories persist. Some suggest the Incas possessed a secret method to soften stone, perhaps using a now lost plant-based compound. Others propose the stones weren't carved at all, but cast in place using an ancient form of concrete. And of course, a few turn to the skies, believing advanced beings or technologies help craft the impossible. So what is Sacsayhuaman? An extraordinary feat of human endurance, a lost science of stone manipulation, or a monument touched by something beyond our world? From the soaring megaliths of Peru, we turn to a smaller enigma, one that fits neatly in the palm of a hand. Discovered in 1936 near London, Texas, the so-called London Hammer is a simple iron tool encased in stone. At first glance, it resembles a 19th century miner's hammer. Nothing unusual until you consider this. The rock surrounding it was claimed to be over 100 million years old. That claim sparked a storm of speculation. Was this evidence that humans, or at least their tools, existed during the age of dinosaurs? Some labelled it an out-of-place artifact, a relic that seemed to defy the known timeline of history. The hammer itself features a 15cm iron head and a wooden handle, partially turned to coal. Freed from the stone, it looks entirely modern, but embedded in ancient rock, it became a geological riddle. So how did it get there? Mainstream geologists have a far less dramatic explanation. The rock isn't 100 million years old, it's a concretion, a hardened mass of minerals that can form naturally around objects in a matter of decades or centuries under the right conditions. Water rich in limestone minerals likely surrounded the hammer and slowly petrified around it. Analyses of the hammer's metallurgy match typical American tools from the late 1800s. In other words, a miner or farmer likely dropped it in a crevice, and over time nature did the rest. Still, not everyone accepts this. In the 1980s, the hammer was acquired by a creationist museum, where it was presented as evidence of pre-flood technology. Some even speculated that the ancient atmosphere allowed iron to last longer and humans to grow gigantic. Others doubled down on the rock's age, claiming it was part of a Cretaceous formation, implying a 19th century human somehow lost their hammer during the dinosaur era. While the London Hammer is likely a lesson in geological coincidence, it remains a curious case. A modern tool seemingly trapped in ancient stone, and a perfect example of how mystery clings to even the simplest things. Trade in the hammer and pick for quill and parchment. Our next enigma is the Piri Reis Map, a 16th century world map that many claim was far too accurate for its time. Drawn in 1513 by Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis, the surviving fragment shows the coasts of Western Europe, North Africa, Brazil, and various Atlantic islands in impressive detail. But what truly captured imaginations is the southern portion, where a strange landmass appears. Some believe it depicts Antarctica, nearly 300 years before its official discovery in 1820. What's more, it appears ice-free, showing inlets and bays along a now frozen coastline. But how could Piri or his sources have known that? Antarctica's coast has been buried under ice for thousands of years. Mainstream historians offer simpler answers. Piri wrote that he compiled his map from around 20 older charts, including ones from the time of Alexander the Great, and possibly from Columbus himself. The mysterious southern continent might be nothing more than a distorted extension of South America, or a mythical landmass like the theorized Terra Australis, which many mapmakers believe had to exist in the far south to balance the Earth. Some scholars argue it was simply guesswork, merged island coastlines drawn together with artistic license. A resemblance to Antarctica, if there is one, might be pure coincidence. Still, fringe theorists offer a different view. Charles Hapgood famously claimed the map preserved knowledge from an Ice Age civilization, possibly drawn from ancient sources, perhaps even the lost library of Alexandria or Atlantis. Some suggest the landmass matches Queen Maudland when rotated, arguing that this couldn't be by chance. Others go further, proposing that extraterrestrial observers mapped Earth from above and left fragments of their knowledge behind. Skeptics point out the match is far from precise and may be wishful thinking, but the mystery remains. Was Piri Reis working with relics of ancient knowledge, or was his map simply a product of its time, blending real geography, forgotten islands, and a dose of cartographic imagination? High in the Bayan Har Mountains on the China-Tibet border, legend tells of a bizarre 1938 expedition. In a remote cave surrounded by prehistoric skeletons with unusually large heads, researchers supposedly discovered 716 stone discs, each about a foot wide, carved from granite, with a hole in the centre, and strange spiral inscriptions. These became known as the Dropa Stones. According to the story, decades later a research claimed to have deciphered the markings. The translation, a tale of extraterrestrial visitors, the Dropa, who crash-landed 12,000 years ago. Stranded and misunderstood, they were hunted by humans and left behind these stone discs as a record of their fate. It's an incredible story, but is any of it real? There are no verified photos of the stones, no academic records of the researchers, and no physical evidence the discs ever existed. The story traces back to a 1960s magazine article, poorly sourced and widely dismissed as pseudo-archaeology. Mainstream scholars consider the Dropa Stones a hoax, a blend of sci-fi, myth, and sensationalism. No stone discs have ever surfaced in museums or credible archives. Still, the tale lingers. Fringe believers suggest a cover-up, or that the stones were hidden away to protect the status quo. But without physical proof, the Dropa Stones remain firmly lodged in the grey zone between legend and fabrication. In the temple of Hathor at Dendera, Egypt, deep in a crypt carved around 50 BC, there's a strange relief. It shows priests and deities surrounding large bulb-shaped objects. Inside each shape is a coiled serpent, stretching from a lotus base to what appears to be a jed column, a pillar often seen in Egyptian art. To the modern eye it looks oddly familiar, a giant light bulb, complete with a filament, socket, and what some interpret as a power cable leading to a box. This scene, known as a Dendera Light, has become a favourite of ancient alien theorists. They argue it depicts electric lighting technology, citing the clean ceilings in the tomb with no soot from torches, and wondering how such deep chambers were illuminated for painting and ritual. But mainstream Egyptologists firmly disagree. They interpret the scene symbolically. The lotus flower represents creation, the snake is Harsomptus, a form of Horus, and the jed pillar symbolises stability. The wire is actually the solar bark, the boat of the sun god, a recurring mythological element in Egyptian art. There's no physical evidence like glass filaments, wires or tools, suggesting the Egyptians ever had electric lighting. Still, fringe theorists point to the visual similarity and draw connections to early electrical devices like arc lamps or crux tubes. Some even suggest knowledge passed down from Atlantis or visitors from beyond. Is it an ancient record of lost technology, or simply a cosmic myth carved in stone? Let me know in the comments below. Etched into the arid plains of southern Peru are the mysterious Nazca Lines, hundreds of massive geoglyphs carved into the desert between 500 BC and 500 AD. Covering over 200 square miles, the lines form shapes only visible from the air. Hummingbirds, spiders, monkeys, and one figure nicknamed the astronaut. Straight lines stretch for miles, intersecting with geometric forms and animal figures the size of skyscrapers. From the ground they're barely visible, but from above they reveal an ancient history on a colossal scale. Created long before human flight, the question remains, who were these massive messages meant for? Mainstream archaeologists believe the lines held ceremonial or religious significance. Ritual paths walk to honour deities, appeal for rain, or mark water sources in one of the Earth's driest places. Some lines align with nearby ceremonial centres, and artefacts found at key points suggest offerings and gatherings under the open sky. The animals may symbolise rain, fertility, or mythic guardians. But not all explanations stay grounded. Since the 1960s, alternative theorists have proposed everything from astronomical calendars to alien landing strips. The vast straight lines resemble runways, and the so-called astronaut figure continues to fuel speculation about ancient contact with visitors from above. Others suggest hot air balloons or aerial observation helped design the figures, but there's no evidence such technology existed. To this day, the Nazca Lines remain a vast and silent mystery, visible only from the sky, as if meant for the gaze of something or someone watching from above. Our final artifact may be the most intimately human and the most otherworldly. The Shroud of Turin is a piece of aged linen, imprinted with the faint front and back image of a crucified man. Many people believed it to be the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, his body burned into the fabric at the moment of resurrection. Others see it as a medieval forgery of outstanding precision. Either way, the shroud shouldn't exist, not like this. The image shows wounds consistent with crucifixion, wrist and foot punctures, scourge marks, and what appears to be a crown of thorns. But it's not painted. Under microscopy, there's no pigment, no brush strokes, just a faint sepia tone degradation of the outer linen fibres. Strangest of all, it forms a photographic negative. Details become clearer when inverted. When first photographed in 1898, it shocked the world. Its recorded history begins in 14th century France. Radiocarbon testing in 1988 dated the cloth to around 1260 to 1390 AD, suggesting it's a medieval creation. But critics of the test argue the sample came from a repaired area, or that the contamination over centuries skewed the results. As for the image itself, no one has fully recreated it. Theories range from primitive photography and chemical vapours to scorched bas-reliefs and UV light. None quite match the shroud's complexity, especially the presence of encoded 3D depth data. Believers hold that it's divine, a flash of resurrection energy that imprinted the body onto the cloth. Skeptics argue it's a masterpiece of illusion. The Catholic Church, for its part, venerates the shroud, but avoids declaring it authentic. Whether miraculous relic or extraordinary hoax, the Shroud of Turin remains one of history's most haunting puzzles. An image that seems to exist somewhere between art, science, and the sacred. We've journeyed through sunken wrecks and mountaintops, from scientific puzzles to the edge of myth. Each of these 10 mysteries challenges what we think we know, or invites us to savour the unknown. In exploring these out-of-place and out-of-time anomalies, we walk the line between skepticism and wonder. Are they echoes of lost chapters in human history? Evidence that ancient minds reached further than we ever imagined? Or are they remnants of contact, left behind by travellers not of this world? We may never know for certain, but the thrill is in the asking. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, stay curious and question everything. This is Nex, signing off.